Hi, I'm Christina Applegate.
And I'm Jamie-Lynn Sigler.
And this is
Messy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Messy. This is Jamie, obviously. We're going to do another email episode today, hear from some of you who so generously have shared your stories and your experiences with us here. Really appreciate that. I'm just going to give you a little story from this weekend. So I was a guest star a million years ago on one of my favorite shows, How I Met Your Mother. I played a woo girl, which is basically a girl that loves to get drunk and say woo after everything she says. A really fun little part I got to play, but I became friends with the creators of the show that are wonderful, wonderful people. Craig Thomas being one of them. He and his partner Carter, writing partner Carter, and many of the cast members of the show over the past couple of years have had an annual benefit concert that benefits a doctor's research for heart defects in utero and in children, and that can affect them developmentally, which affected Craig. Craig, who we had on Messy, who we talked here. Anyway, he had asked me this year to be a part of the benefit and get up and sing here in New York City at the Bowery Ballroom. I think I've talked about this before, but, singing is something that's like really conflicting for me because it was so much of my identity as a child and growing up. I grew up doing musical theater and so much of who I am. And as the MS really presented itself in my life and I became more physically limited and then disabled, like anytime I would even open my mouth to sing, I would cry. There would be so much grief around it. And your voice is a muscle, and if you don't use it a lot, it's just not as good. So then even when I would experiment and try and sing, even in the past couple of years because of Bo and him sort of pushing me to, it just had never sounded the way I wanted it to sound. And so I would just kind of stop. Anyway, so when Craig asked me to do this, I of course just said yes. And then as the day is getting closer, I'm like, why did I do this? I'm such a person who self-sabotages where I did no vocal warm-ups. I didn't really practice before because it was almost like I was punishing myself for not keeping up with this, ability I once had. Anyway, so the show comes upon us this past Saturday night. I do my sound check on Friday. It sounds okay. We rehearse, but it's not about me. It's for this beautiful cause and for these beautiful people. And I really just let it focus on that. Cutter and the kids came, which was so cool for them to sort of be in the Bowery Ballroom. And if you don't know that, it's this, venue in the Village, and it's, kind of grungy. It's standing room only. It's such an institution, such history there. But it's my boys kept being is this a club? Is this a nightclub? It's everyone's drunk and having a good time. Let me just say, How I Met Your Mother fans are fucking awesome. They brought the greatest energy. Anyway, I'll quickly wrap this up. So I got on stage and I had a couple of songs to choose from because they only use songs that they've used in the soundtrack of the show each season. So I got to sing a childhood dream of mine, Eternal Flame by the Bangles. I sang back on the Chain Gang, and then I sang back up for Florence and the Machine, Shake It Out. Anyway, it was such a euphoric moment for me. I don't know what happened, but I got out on stage and it was I was getting to relive an old piece of me that I had put to bed, or I just thought I didn't have access to anymore. I felt so comfortable on this stage. I don't even know or care really how I sounded. It was just so fun. And I stood in front of the microphone and sang for 15 minutes. And I didn't have my cane and I didn't have anything to lean on. And I didn't even think about my body. I was so present in the moment and I was vibrating with such good energy. And it was so awesome. And then let me say though, as soon as it was done and I hugged the guys next to me on the stage and I walked off. It was awkward. I almost tripped. My body reminded me that it's still what it is. But then when I left and I met my kids and Cutter outside, Jack came up to me and he was like, I've never seen you happy before, Mom. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, what I just saw is not, I've never seen that from you before. He goes, my body was shaking. And it was so innocent and so much of a reminder for me of that I'm still alive and that there's still ways that I can access parts of myself, and how important it was for my kids to see me like that. It could have made me sad, but it didn't, for me to just know that, again, that like that stuff is still alive inside of me, and that I'm just going to look to access it more, and how much it affected my kids and how happy it made them to see me enjoying myself. Sometimes that means, for me, having been in New York these past weeks, really accepting my disability and surrendering to the help that I need so I can really be present and enjoy myself. And this was just another moment of that this week. And so I just wanted to share that to hopefully, remind anyone that you can still do things you love in a different way, and how much not only joy it could bring you, but also the people around you. And with that, let's start hearing from you guys. Okay, this first message is from Trisha. I just heard that you were in Cooperstown with your 12-year-old son. I have sat through dozens of hot, cold, and rainy tournaments for my 16-year-old and 12-year-old sons who have been playing forever in Michigan. I can't imagine Texas. We opted out of my son's Cooperstown team trip because of the cost, but it's so nice to hear another MS mom who endures some really hot days at the ballpark to watch her kids play. I wouldn't be anywhere else on those weekends, but as always, it's nice to hear another mom understanding that cheering on a baseball team can be quite difficult some days. Episode suggestion: perimenopause and MS. Really, it's a game some days. The Is It Perimenopause or MS quiz show. First, Trisha, first of all, thank you. Thank you for reminding me that I'm not the only mom that's going through this. I talked about the Cooperstown mom that I met. Listen, it's not a sacrifice when it's for your kids, but it's nice to be acknowledged, right? Sometimes for the things that we go through. As far as perimenopause and MS, I'm so grateful, as weird as this sounds, to be able to commiserate with my friends, MS or not, about this whole perimenopause thing, because we're all feeling it. We're all feeling a lot of things. And it reminds me that it's kind of normal and not necessarily MS, although it can make MS stuff harder. I think I've talked about this before, but I've really been exploring HRT. I do estradiol cream. I do testosterone shots. I don't do progesterone because I still get my period regularly, and it makes me very tired. If you add any slight thing, it just makes me more exhausted. So it doesn't work for me, but it's definitely something to play around with, because doing those two hormones has alleviated some of the perimenopause stuff, and helped me feel better and more manageable. Although, I can still be a little bit of a bitch the week before my period in ways that I never used to be. Thankfully, I have a husband with a sense of humor and we can make fun of it now. But yes, perimenopause and MS is not easy. And thankfully, there's a lot more research and a lot more attention being paid to this in general. So hopefully that will mean that there'll be more things to help us through this natural process. All right. This next one is from Susan. Hi, Jamie and Christina. Thank you for being my imaginary friends, meaning I'll probably never actually meet you, but I know you're both always there. I know everyone says this to both of you, but please take a minute to just close your eyes and let it sink in. Besides being great actresses, What you do and continue to do is truly saving lives and giving people with a chronic illness hope and the courage to find new ways to live their life again and have a sense of purpose. So thank you. Oh, thank you. I read both of your books faster than I have ever read a book in my life, which I hated because I didn't want them to end. I almost want to reread them with Post-it notes and yellow highlighter to tag pages that relate to me completely. I too have MS and was diagnosed in 1996 after the birth of my first son. I decided to hide it because my symptoms were my right leg weakness, bladder issues, and maybe some numbness here and there, but nothing people could really see. I had to forget about running, quickly going up and down stairs, and some other issues, but I made up excuses if asked and didn't have to worry about people feeling sorry for me. I had 2 more children and did pretty okay for the years, but slowly, every year, the limp came. The limp just got worse, and the skeleton had to come out of the closet. One symptom I always had was clonus in my right ankle. It only happened when the doctor would activate it by pushing up my ankle, but now it just does it on its own sometimes. If I exercise too much, when I get up and try to walk, I have to stop for a minute and let it calm down. When I go for massages and the woman is stretching my leg in a certain position, it shakes, which is so embarrassing. And if I'm stressed or my anxiety is high, trying to walk is awful, so I just stop, take a breath, and walk slowly. I was curious if you ladies have clonus, and if so, what helps you? Well, I could go on and on, but I will stop here. Again, thank you. And who knows? I'm a Long Island girl, so Jamie, maybe our paths will cross one day. Love, Susan. Very possible. You know I'm on Long Island all the time, and I love it. Well, wow. Our stories sound so similar with the right leg weakness, the bladder issues, some numbness, hiding it, but then slowly each year, just the limp getting worse and worse and harder to hide. Very much my journey, and clonus also part of my journey. I remember that being like when I started telling people I had MS, like in my private circle, and they'd be like, well, what do you mean? How does it affect you? I'd be like, watch. And I would bounce I would have my foot flat on the floor and like pick it up, just my heel, and then go to put my heel down, and they would see how it would bounce down. And so like the clonus was almost like my proof to show people like, you don't know what's going on, but like, look, here's a little sign of the MS. So yes, clonus is something that I deal with and have dealt with. I can't get pedicures. Like every once in a while I do, and I just sit there apologizing the entire time to the woman because I'm like, just hold the foot. Hold it as hard as you can. You promise you won't hurt me, because I cannot control the shaking or it kind of moving. I know that's like a little thing, but it's like ways that like it's embarrassing to have this clonus. And yes, when I can overexercise or push myself a little bit, the leg will bounce. And same, I just got to take some deep breaths, slow down. Sometimes when those moments happen, I understand what's happening to me physically and I need to slow down, but it also like stops me in my tracks in a way of like, where was my head just going? Like what road was my brain taking me down that was leading it nowhere good? You know what I mean? There was always some train of thought at the same time that like was not healthy for me. So I've always found it to be a moment and an invitation to kind of slow down all the way in general. So I'm sorry you have clonus. I see you. I feel you. It sucks. But what helps me is stretching. Just stretching. Get a little band. Pull your foot back. Push and pull up against it. Doing a calf stretch. Even if you're standing, kind of put your hands on the wall and put one foot back at a time. I don't know. I'm probably not telling you anything you don't know or hasn't been told to you. I think sometimes maybe it just helps to just say what you have and hear that somebody else has it too. So I hope that was the case. So thanks, Susan. Maybe see you on the island. Support for Messy comes from Honey Love. I can't tell you the difference it's made in my life to have a supportive and comfortable bra. So much so that it gives me lift and structure, and when I get home, I forget I have it on. I'm not racing to rip it off like every other bra that I own. And you know why? Because I'm wearing Honeylove bras. Honeylove is an independent, female-founded brand, by the way. All of their products are intelligently designed by women who actually wear them. Because let's be honest, finding the right bra, especially as you get older, can feel frustrating. You know, what used to work just doesn't anymore. You want the lift, you want the shape, you want the support, but you don't want those stiff wires digging in or bulky padding that feels outdated. And that's exactly where Honeylove stands out. They have a new crossover contour bra, which is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. It combines their best-selling wireless design with molded foam cups that help create a smooth, natural shape, especially helpful for mature breasts that may want a little extra structure and support. And their Cloud Embrace bra, by the way, is a game changer. This is soft, breathable, incredibly comfortable. It's one of those bras, like I said, you're going to wear even when you get in bed. They also have shapewear, okay? I have to call this out because it is designed to smooth and support without squeezing or restricting. It uses this targeted compression. It works with your body. I can't say enough. So treat yourself to the most advanced bras and shapewear on the market. Use our exclusive link to save 20% off Honeylove at honeylove.com/messy. That's honeylove.com/messy. And after you check out, they'll ask where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Experience the new standard in comfort and support with Honeylove. Support for Messy comes from Rhythm Health. You know, sometimes I find myself asking, especially as I'm like really focused on my health and wellness, like, are my workouts really working? Are my supplements doing anything? Is the diet that I'm following right? Most of us have no idea. We spend hundreds of dollars a month on our health and we hope for the best. And that's why we are so excited to partner with Rhythm, because Rhythm is the world's easiest blood test to help you learn what's happening inside your body. You take it in 2 minutes at home. No needles, just a sleek and painless collection device you peel and you stick on your arm. The draw is a small sample. You mail it to their lab and you get results back in about 3 days. So listen, with old school testing, you know, you're driving to the lab once a year, you're getting a single snapshot and you forget about it. But with Rhythm, you can test every month. You track movement in over 30 biomarkers spanning cholesterol, inflammation, hormones, metabolic health. It's truly what is going to give you the snapshot in understanding what is going on in your body and if anything you're doing is working. Rhythm is only $79 a month, by the way, a fraction of traditional lab testing. It ships right to your door. You can cancel anytime. And right now, Rhythm is offering our listeners 15% off your first month and free shipping at rhythm.health/messy. That's Rhythm with one H, RYTHM.health/messy for 15% off your first month and free shipping. Stop guessing, start testing, rhythm.health/messy. Okay, this next message is from Mariella. Living just like you both with MS, in my case, since 2004. I've been on Kesimpta for the past 6 months. I am 54 years old and I live in New Jersey. Just to share that for me, each day is a blessing. One day I could be having a hell of a day with a migraine that makes it even impossible to sleep. But after I pass out and I wake up the next day as if nothing happened before, those are the days that make me more appreciative of how beautiful life is. And today is one of those, enjoying it all from sunrise to sunset. Big hug for both girls. Let's keep it up. We'll get to see the light at the end of our tunnel. I believe it too. And you know what? Sometimes it's not a whole day. Sometimes it might just be one moment. Sometimes it might be 1 minute, 10 minutes, an hour. Don't beat yourself up with the amount of time. Just even if you have one little moment a day, those add up. You know, at least that's what I've done for myself, is just not judge myself on how much I'm enjoying, how much I'm appreciating, how much I'm letting everything go and experiencing. Sometimes it's a great meal. I had a really hard day physically the other day, and then I was looking forward to going out to eat to this place called The Corner Store that my dear friend Eugene owns here in New York City. It's very trendy, very special, very hot, very cool, very delicious. And we went with one of my best friends, Lindsay, and her husband. And I ate some of the greatest food, comfort food, like elevated, like comfort food. Like I'm talking like a pizza roll, but it was like, made by this incredible chef. Anyway, I digress by just saying that for that hour or whatever that we were in the restaurant, I ate such great food. It made me almost forget about how difficult the day was prior physically. So just because I was able to just like sit and enjoy that moment. So again, just they add up, and gather them all in your little basket, and even keep a note section on your phone of the positive moments. Can sometimes, when you're in the midst of a rough one, even being able to look back and be reminded that those happened and that they're still possible, might help. Okay. This next one is from JH, a little anonymous. I like it. Hello, Jamie and Christina. I appreciate you both so much, and I hope that today is a good, whatever that means for you, day for you. When you both speak about what you have lost because of your MS, I want to cry for you and also for me, because I share in the bitterness. I have severe osteoarthritis and cannot believe that 10 years ago I was riding my bike and walking and playing tennis and volleyball. Now, I'm one of those people who cannot comfortably walk 2 blocks, and standing for more than 2 minutes is excruciating. I miss old me, and I miss how much my life has shrunk. I know that there are so many people worse off than I am who never even had as many disability-free years as I did, but damn it. Just damn it. Thanks for listening. Hugs. I mean, I hear you. I don't think there's a day that goes by that I don't think, what would it have been like if I didn't have MS? How, I almost try actually sometimes, even in like a meditation or whatever, to like really envision that, because I don't know why, but it's been a very important part of my process to like have my body and my mind like have a minute of feeling free and unrestricted, and knowing that even if it might not be in my outer physical world, somewhere in my inner world, I'm still experiencing that. Because otherwise the grief gets too big and too overwhelming and too hard. And I think I have to do that regularly too, because there's a lot of times too where I'll stop and be like, why am I still acting? Like, why am I still pushing myself to do something that's hard? And knowing that it just adds another challenge to my life. But the truth is that, same way with kind of what Jack told me, there's a piece of me that really comes alive when I do get to work. And it's kind of what's pushed me to now present myself when I do either audition or get a job, to say like, I got to do this in this body. I can't perform it as if I am an able-bodied person, because I'm not. It's allowed me to feel more comfortable. And honestly, it's the only way that I can work now. But I say all of that to say that I share in that heartbreak and that bitterness all the time, but giving myself, like I said, that space to sort of have a moment with my body where it doesn't feel that way, I think allows me to then have the confidence to move forward in the direction of my dreams and what I still want to do, and accepting the way I have to do it, Okay, this next one is from Sharon. Hello, Christina and Jamie-Lynn. I love you both, and I read your books back to back recently. My bio dad had MS, but unfortunately, I never got to meet him. You have shed so much light on this illness, which I appreciate so much. Christina, we are close in age, so I relate to your timeline in your book. Jamie-Lynn, I took my daughter to see you in Cinderella for her 5th birthday present in Manhattan. Aww. My question, though the internet says differently, Do either of you believe there is a genetic connection to this disease? I know you both feel it's related to a trauma in life. I love you both and pray for your health, Sharon. So I'm careful when I say this because I'm not very well versed in this, but I did have a doctor once tell me that there's, I don't know if you would call it like two forms of MS, but there can be sort of a genetic way or like gene for it or marker for it. And then for others, there's not. I know they're doing so much research on its connection to Epstein-Barr, Lyme's, any kind of other co-infections. So I can't speak, like I said, from like a well-researched point of view, but I have been told this, and I was told, like, you do not have the genetic form, which, I mean, makes sense because no one in my family previous to me had it. But I will say that it definitely crossed my mind when Bo got sick. And I asked specifically his doctor, who very coincidentally, you know, his expertise was in ADEM, which was what Bo had, and MS. And I asked him, did he get this because of me? Because I have MS? And he said, that's a very good question, but no. So it was just random. So again, with all of that said, I can't give you a very clear answer, but I have heard of that, and perhaps I'll look into that more on behalf of all of us. Okay, this one is from Meredith. For most of my life, people never knew I had a disability. At 13, I was diagnosed with a rare retinal disease that eventually took the central vision in my left eye and distorted the vision in my right. Yet, I became a graphic designer, built a creative career, raised 4 children, and spent decades trying to make sure people saw me before they saw my condition. When I heard your story about living with MS and hiding it for so many years, I immediately understood what you meant. There is a unique loneliness in carrying something invisible while trying to move through the world as though nothing has changed. Over time, I realized that losing my sight did not take away my vision. It changed it. The realization became the foundation of my memoir, I See You. The book is not about blindness. It's about learning how to redesign your life when the future you imagined disappears. It is about identity, resilience, motherhood, creativity, and discovering that our greatest challenges often become the lens through which we see ourselves most clearly. Oh, how beautiful. When my daughter was diagnosed with the same hereditary eye disease, I was forced to revisit my own journey and understand it in an entirely new way. I would be honored to send you a copy of the book, whether it resonates personally, professionally, or simply as one woman sharing her story with another. I believe our journeys share more common ground than differences. Thank you for continuing to give others permission to be seen. With gratitude, Meredith. Oh, Meredith, I love everything you wrote. I can't wait to read your book. I See You. I love your perspective. And I too believe that, you know, like you said, the things, the difficult experience can sometimes, and is not sometimes, always the foundation of how we can see ourselves, how we can shift our perspective and see ourselves for who we are. It's an invitation to call you back to yourself. So thank you so much for sharing that. I love the way you articulated it, way better than I. Congratulations on writing a book. I now know how difficult that is. I think that's beautiful, and I can't wait to check it out. Okay, this message is from Kathy. Hi, everyone. I was listening to Jamie read the email from Samantha, who left her job because of the way she was treated after being diagnosed with MS. I wanted to share my story, which is very similar. I was diagnosed a year after I started at a large insurance company. The company allowed me to have a workaround, whereas I worked in the office from 8 to 2 and then went home, rested until 3:30. I logged on at home and worked until 5. This allowed me to work full-time, and I will always be grateful. However, I had an instance where another employee came up to me and said it was a shame that by my having a workaround, I was taking a job away from someone who could be in the office all day. It was like I was only half a person. My boss also used to compare me with another employee who had MS and didn't need to rest during the day. Yes, we had an HR department, but I was the breadwinner of my family and was afraid to lose my job. It's a shame that this type of behavior is still prevalent in the workplace. Thanks for giving us a space to share our MS stories. Kathy. P.S. I'm praying for Christina to get back to the podcast. She is missed, and she is. You know what also is just I'm so sorry for that happened to you, Kathy. And I think what is such a shame about it too is that, and what people don't realize is when they say things like that, they're hitting such a wound and a nerve that we're already up against all the time of that. Like, I am still a full person. I am still capable. I am still who I am despite having this disease. When people do things like that, it chips away at that wound and makes you be like, I'm not appreciated. I'm not seen the same. I'm not valued the same. I'm not appreciated in the same way. People look at me as different and weak and incapable. And I fucking hate that for you and anyone else that's going through that, because it's such a hard thing to work through yourself against your own inner voice and narrator and your own, and the will that you need to override that and show up each and every day. And then to have somebody confront you with that is just so shitty. But also, I think, look at it as an opportunity for you to stand up for yourself, to see what you are doing, what you are overcoming, to show up every day. I hope that you have been able to find a space and a way to self-advocate and not have to not speak up out of fear for losing your job, because that's incredibly unfair. And I wonder if there's a way to continue to amplify stories like this and have, they have all these sexual harassment seminars, whether it's annually, biannually, like every job that I've had, every new show, they'll have one where everybody's, educated and like what's appropriate and what's not. Like, let's have this around people with disabilities as well. Let's learn how to have a better language and boundaries and sensitivity to what everybody might be up against that you don't even know. I'm so sorry, Kathy. And thank you for sharing. This message is from Kaya. Hi, Jamie and Christina. I absolutely adore you two, and I love listening to your episodes every week. Christina, I appreciate when you raise awareness for POTS. I was recently diagnosed, and it's so hard to live an average life with this illness. Every day feels like climbing a mountain, and I don't think that many people understand how hard living with POTS is. Even though I don't have MS, I can still relate to you two when you talk about invisible illness. I deeply relate to the feeling of being a burden to others and the guilt surrounding it. I have a question for both of you. If you can live the life of any character you played, who would it be and why? Oh. Anyways, I hope you two are doing all right, and I can't wait to keep listening to the new episodes. Oh my God, what a good question. Well, the version of me that I played in Entourage was real fun. Jamie was very confident, very rich, just fun, and everything seemed to be, I don't know, she was able to sort of speak up for herself, and a confidence that, I only can access sparingly, every once in a while. So I would say that. I mean, I would love to say Meadow just because I played her for so long and I grew up with her and I love her so much, but I wouldn't want to have my dad be in the mafia. So I would just say Entourage Jamie for me. And when Christina comes back, she can share hers. We'll keep this for her to remember. Support for Messy comes from Z Biotics. Listen, some nights are planned. Others, Start with a drink and somehow end with you at a DJ set at 2 a.m. God, those were the days. But listen, I still got them in me sometimes. And oh, by the way, you have brunch the next day, 40 minutes away. So what are you going to do? You ever been a victim of the Sunday scaries? I have. And I've been able to get rid of them by drinking Z-Biotics pre-alcohol before I drink. Okay, Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. So here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for rough days after drinking. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. So just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. You drink responsibly and you'll feel your best by tomorrow. You can drink, by the way, like there's no tomorrow with Z-Biotics pre-alcohol. July is packed with barbecues, fireworks, lake weekends, and late nights with friends, so keep the good times rolling into the next day. Drink pre-alcohol before you go out and wake up ready for whatever Sunday brings. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/messy and use the code MESSY at checkout for 15% off. Okay, this one's from Melissa. As a caregiver to my husband with progressive MS, I just wanted to say thanks for your honest and real podcast, for the tears and the laughs. The way you both try to show up for your kids is so beautiful, in different but important ways. Jamie, I admire you and Cutter putting such an important focus on your relationship. I feel like sometimes it's so hard for me to find a way out of caregiver and be a good partner. Cutter's perspective resonated so much with me. We never thought life would look like this, but here we are. Fuck MS, but hugs to all three of you. Oh, thank you, Melissa, and thank you for sharing. And listen, you being a caregiver is being a good partner. It's so complicated. I mean, there's so many moments that Cutter and I still bump up against of also him being honest with me where, I need you right now, Jamie. I need you to come up and give me the hug. I need you to come up and ask me how I am. And I need to be reminded of that. No one's perfect. We're all works in progress. We're all trying to figure it out. And relationships are hard in general. And when you put MS or any chronic illness or anything like that in the mix, it's even harder. So please give yourself some grace. You sound like an incredible partner. So I hope, at least for this moment right now, you can feel that and be reminded of that. I honor you too. This is just as much your fight as your husband's and praying for you as well. Okay, this message is from Ilana. Hi, Jamie, Christina. I read both of your books recently and wow. I was already feeling less alone because of your podcast, but both of your books really made me feel like people out there understand. I was diagnosed 5 years ago when my second child was 18 months old. It was still pandemic-y, so my husband wasn't allowed into the ER with me, and I had to receive my diagnosis alone. I'm thankful for my friends and my family who have been so supportive, but they definitely don't get it like a fellow MSer. Thank you both for always speaking so candidly. I appreciate you, Alana. Well, we appreciate you too. I'm so glad that you feel like we get it because we do. And I don't know, I'm just praying that your journey with this is easy and that you continue to find many outlets of support. This message is from Nalini. What a pretty name. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Hello. Sorry if there are any errors in my message as I'm used to talking on text, as also I cannot use my hands well. I recently wrote a book, Life Has to Have a Purpose. I almost did not write this until I heard your hosts on other podcasts. Their bravery blew my mind, and I knew that I needed to be brave like them. I really hope my book will help other women of color on their journey. Thank you again for being amazing and brave. I think that that's what's so cool about sharing your vulnerability and your truth is it's not even if somebody has anything in common with what you are sharing, but it kind of just gives them permission to feel like, okay, if she's sharing all of this stuff, why can't I? Yeah, I had that experience. I did a women's book club here a couple of weeks ago, and I was in a room of like, I don't know, about 70 women that had all read my book, women I didn't know, I've never met before. And I had this beautiful talk with the moderator. And then afterwards, we kind of opened it up for questions and then, for me to sign books and chat. And every woman that came up to me after just like poured their heart out of like things that they've been living with, things that they've been struggling with, things they feel shameful about, like sharing their truth in such a beautiful way. And you could just see like energetically, like a weight that has been lifted off them. I don't know if I've said this on here before, but one of my dear friends, Kelsey, had said to me when she read my book, she was like, now you don't have to carry your pain alone. Others can carry it with you and the load gets lighter. And I just believe that that's true for everyone. It doesn't have to be in a grand scale. It doesn't have to be in a book. It doesn't have to be on a podcast. It could just be with the other people around you. You don't even know what that could do for another person, you sharing your truth, you being open, honest, vulnerable, whether they do it in front of you or they go home and they now feel comfortable doing it in front of their partner or their parent or their sibling or their friend. I really think that was a lot of the intention of this podcast in general when we started it, was just feeling okay to just be honest and be real and not be worried about the reaction on the other side of it, and doing it more for yourself as an act of self-love. I can just speak for myself and how transformative that has been. It doesn't necessarily change the circumstance, but it has given me a lot of purpose. It's given me a lot of, it's also, I think, allowed me, it's like when I open up, I look at it energetically like I'm opening up this door of like all these things that I was hiding. And when I open up that door, now some love can come in. It's like, you're allowing this channel to be open. And so thank you for sharing and saying that. And I hope that is just the gift that we can give people through this, truly. Okay, this message is from Haley. Hi, my name is Haley, and I'm going to be 30 this year and still undergoing the massive amounts of tests to confirm what we already know is MS. I've admired you as actresses for a long time, but I'm thankful the awareness you spread. MS is lonely and often overlooked. I'm writing this to just thank you and Christina. I recently read your memoir, and all I can say is I unfortunately related to so many parts besides the MS. But I'm thankful you are putting those horrible situations out there. It makes life feel less lonely in a way, as no one knows what day-to-day life is like with this disease. Life is hard. I'm nearly 30, in a job I have no direction in, over $200,000 in student loan debt, and I have such big dreams. I really want to be able to live them out. But the struggle of getting out of bed sometimes is staggering. I thank you sincerely, whether or not you will see this. Thank you for making me feel seen. I am so incredibly grateful, and I hope I one day will have that job, life, energy, and be that successful woman and take my mom on the trip I promised her after she beat breast cancer 4 years ago. Much love from Colorado, Haley. Oh, Haley, I just want to wrap you in a giant hug right now. I know that list feels long and daunting of everything that you are up against right now. And I'm not taking that away from you. That is such a load to carry at such a young age. But you said you read my book, and I don't know if you remember, but 30 was my rock bottom. And I pray that this is yours, meaning only up from here. There was a shift that happened when first I said my list of things like you just did, where I was finally able to be like, this is so hard and I don't know where to go. I know where I want to go, but I have no idea how I'm going to get there because of this and this and this and this. It is okay and very important, like I said, to acknowledge all of those things. But one of the most guaranteed things in life is nothing stays the same. It will not always be like this. Find something for yourself. I don't know if it's some sort of faith, whether it's religion, whether it's Bravo, whether it's like whatever it is that you feel like can just spark a little bit of hope inside you, a little bit of perspective change, a little bit of something that could feel like, I don't know, that something could be different. Even in one of those areas, maybe start planning the trip, even though you know you can't afford it in this moment. Start just planning that trip, writing an itinerary, have the vision board of it. I'm interested to hear what will happen when you now take your reality and you've acknowledged your very difficult situation, and now you're just trying to alchemize a little bit out of that. I just urge you to just try. But more than anything, you are seen, you are felt, you are held, you are heard. I understand the moment that you're in, but I can promise you, I know 30 feels old, but it's so young and you're just getting started and there's so much ahead of you that can be good and exciting and full of love that you didn't expect and that I know it's hard to see in this moment. But I promise you, if I was in that very similar moment at 30 and can find myself in many of the situations that I find myself in now, you can too. Okay, this one is from Victoria. Hi, Christina and Jamie. My name is Victoria. I am 34. I am married with an 8-year-old kiddo. I was diagnosed with breast cancer at 32. I will be in treatment for the next 3 to 8 years. I also have fibromyalgia, ME, CFS, CPTSD, Hashimoto's, and I was recently referred to a rheumatologist for possible lupus. Oh, your poor body. Needless to say, I cannot remember the last time I felt healthy or great. Every day is different, and having dynamic disabilities can be so isolating. A friend of mine from my cancer support group, shout out to Gilda's Club, they saved my life, please check them out, told me about Messi. By the way, Christina, I have been a longtime fan of yours and have followed your breast cancer journey. I'm so grateful to have found your podcast. I have been in debilitating pain at times, so much that it hurts to stand out of bed. I have been debating on using mobility aids. Finally, after listening to one episode of your podcast, I decided to go ahead and just get a cane. Wow, I'm so happy I did. Thank you both for normalizing disabilities and for helping me find my courage to use support. My kiddo is so active. They do jujitsu 4 to 5 times a week and compete in tournaments. They are energetic and an adventurous kid, and it takes a lot of energy on my part to keep up with them. Sometimes I grieve the mom I was before cancer and autoimmune diseases. I was so active, so fun, and creative. I'm navigating my new normal now. You have helped me so much, both of you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart, with love and admiration, Victoria. Victoria, I just want to acknowledge you for continuing to seek out support and help despite your really incredible journey and all of the things that you are dealing with. You have to pat yourself on the back of the way you've reacted to this. You've sought out support groups. You're listening to this podcast. Like sometimes I think we have to remember that even looking for a little bit of help is an act of courage and bravery and strength, as opposed to just sort of, not. I think that alone should give you a lot of hope and alone should give you a lot of, appreciation for your grit and your fight. And yours is incredibly difficult. And I acknowledge and see that. And I'm so very sorry. And I'm so glad you got that cane. And I'm so glad it's helped you. I understand I was so active. I was so fun. I was so creative. I think about that all the time. I think about even with the story I just said about Jack seeing me so happy, would he have seen that so much more without MS? I don't know. But also, would he have appreciated it and been able to acknowledge it? Maybe not. So, and that's important, I think, as a human being, to know that you're not always going to feel this way, but when you see it, you appreciate it. There's always a lesson. There's always a way to see things in another way. But again, I want to acknowledge you for your fight against this and your willingness to, I don't know, move forward with it and get all the help and support that you need and deserve. Okay, that's it for today. We're going to wrap it up. Our quote today is, "You do not have to become someone else to heal. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is keep showing up as you are, carrying what you carry, and trusting that your story is still unfolding." And so it is.
This show is executive produced by Christina Applegate, Jamie-Lynn Sigler, and Allison Bresnick. Our audio engineer is Josh Windisch.
And if you want to show us some love, don't forget to leave the show a rating or review. Hi, it's Jamie. Thanks for listening. I just want to let you know I am a paid spokesperson for Novartis, but this podcast is independent from my collaboration with Novartis.